about, just wait. I want to think about, first of all, why we're even going to teach, this or that vocabulary task, because it takes a lot of work to prep vocab to teach for something, and it takes a significant amount of energy and commitment from students as well. So although it may seem, almost stupidly obvious, let's actually take a few minutes to think about what our priorities are when we start in on prepping vocabulary to teach or deciding. I'm just going to, somebody's kindly put it in the chat. Okay, so the first link, which says listen to me, priority matrix. So let's take a look at that one first. Okay, I'm just going to share the screen very quickly, so that you can confirm what it is you think you should be seeing. Okay, so you should be seeing a Padlet that will look like this. And what I thought we would do is start out, if you click the plus sign under initial ideas, you can add your ideas here. So when you start thinking, okay, I'm going to teach some vocab this week, what are your usual priorities? If everybody's opened this link, you should all be able to see it. So I will actually stop the share. Okay. Let's just put some ideas up here. I think one of my, okay, I actually, sorry, because we had some other things to do, I actually forced a team name. So I'm just going to put my own name up there. One of my priorities, I think, is always high frequency verbs, because they're so often something that people kind of think they know and they don't actually know. So if other people would like to add some ideas to that initial ideas section on the left of the Padlet, let's sort the priority from there. We've got 2 minutes, by the way, guys. So, okay. Collocations, yep. Okay, let's start sorting these. So in terms of the current task, I think it's going to depend very much on whether it's output or input. If it's in terms of input, then I will usually think that, getting the students to know what the word means is going to be urgent. High frequency verb expressions. Actually, I'd like to know what other people think as well. So, Sarah, what about you? Which do you think is perhaps not so urgent when you're thinking about a vocab task that you're prepping for a current class? Something that you think it's important enough, but maybe on the back burner throughout the semester.
It depends on the purpose, if it's writing or speaking.
Yeah. So let's say that, okay, I'm going to put it, I should perhaps have put this. So let's put input tasks, and people can just add comments there. Okay, and output tasks. So I would say something that's not urgent for an output task, or not urgent for an input task. Did anybody want to stick their neck out? Okay. We've got, so collocations. How urgent do you think that is? It's just work down the list. Catherine, what do you reckon? Collocations, is that something that you feel you want to be talking about up front and center, or?
I mean, I'm the one who wrote collocations, and
yeah,
yeah, because yeah, one of the universities I work at, they're definitely going to be on their final exam.
Okay. In terms
So-
of receptive or productive language?
It would be receptive.
Okay. So significant, but not necessarily urgent. It's going to,
right,
it's a
yeah.
long-term goal. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just going to add a few. So if you guys have, if you want to drag these in or add the comments under output or input here, that would be great. Or you can put it in the chat and I'll enter it for you. Or okay. 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 So Nicholas, what about in terms of things that you think are absolutely urgent, something that, you know, when you start to teach a new lesson, it's where are your vocab priorities typically? He's got lost in the fridge by the sound of him. Okay. So, okay. How about Linda?
I'm eating dinner.
Sorry, no, I was checking frantically to see that I didn't have needle in my teeth 2 minutes ago. Anybody else want to stick their necks out? So, Koide Sensei, how about you? Okay, so Matt, oh yes, sorry, yes.
What's the question? Sorry.
Sorry, okay. So in terms of the class that you're going to be teaching today, what are your vocab priorities typically? Are you kind of thinking about what?
Currently, I'm teaching how to write academic essay. So
Right.
then students are sort of struggling with how to use the proper vocabulary.
Yep. So you'd be looking at actual, you know,
Yes.
lexical items, or telling the difference between whether it's a verb or a noun, or you're thinking writing output mostly, right?
Yes, writing, but it depends on the task.
Yeah. So, but it sounds like you might be interested in the semantics. What does it actually mean? Okay. What about the word form? You know, are you worried right at the beginning whether they're going to be using a noun when they should be using a verb or something like that, or not so much?
Not so much. Rather,
right.
I
not
always
not
ask
at this point.
the student to put to focus on the content more. So then, if the word form is incorrect, and then the student can discuss, and then or I can give a hint so that they can correct the form, but rather the meaning of the
right.
Yeah, is more important, I think.
Yeah.
For now.
Okay. Yeah, I guess when I'm teaching that kind of thing, I tend to teach what I call the mikan method. So if it's a complicated word that they're not familiar with, can they make a sentence using mikan instead of any noun, or love or buy or something instead of every verb? And then they can start adding in the stuff that they couldn't understand. So Matt, the words that are about to appear in a conversation, are you thinking mainly of the meaning words or the function words?
Yeah, so I'm thinking it's more of a placeholder. They're trying to say a sentence and they're missing one word, and they fill it in. And usually they'll hear a sentence and they'll understand the sentence, they'll understand what's going on, but they're missing one word. And I sort of tell them the vocabulary that they're missing after hearing it once, and then I let them hear it again, is what I'm
So that sounds very much as if it's meaning first, right?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, so getting back to, Catherine was saying she knows that in the you know, they're going to be having collocations on their final test, so it's important enough, but it isn't really that urgent. Are there other things that people feel like, you know, they're not right up front, but you're going to be wanting to look at them before the end of the semester? Or, you know, people who are eating dinner could just type it either straight into the Padlet or into the chat, and I'll park it over there.
I was the one who mentioned word forms. It's because
Yep.
we are doing academic writing at my university, and paraphrasing is a big part of it.
Mm.
So being able to know the word form gives them more chance to change what they're saying.
Right. So would you think of that as something that you're focused on from the beginning of the lesson, or day one of the lesson, or something that you're going to slowly feed in later on?
Depends what they already know.
Well, yeah, given that it's something that you think they're going to need teaching, something that you think is relatively new.
Yeah, they would need it, because that, and you know, it's just easier to do that, I think, than just keep building academic vocabulary.
Mm-hmm. So you're thinking, okay, up here with urgent. Yeah, okay, word forms. Yeah. I feel like that's one of the things that I focus on by always being obsessed with high frequency verb expressions, because I feel it does so much to increase their expression. But anyway, the second Padlet link in the chat is a summary of kind of everything we're doing here today. And I'm sorry, I did want to finish editing and upload screen recordings for using different apps, but I ended up recreating an entire course for this semester in the middle of the week. So it was a little bit different from what I was anticipating. So I'm going to actually share this because I think it's probably easier to understand what's going on. Okay, so first up on the far left, okay, I've got 2 screen recordings on a YouTube playlist at the moment, which should, with the notes that are in my public Google Drive folder, they should help you kind of get some idea of how to use some of the apps. Okay, and I'm sorry, I will have to add the people and bibliography stuff at the bottom a little bit later. Okay, so typically, you know, if I'm going to start teaching something, I start with some kind of receptive language source, right? I've got the source video, I've got a source PDF, okay, or whatever. Now, there's a lot of things that I think people kind of know, but they kind of don't. Does everybody know how to get a transcript out of a YouTube video? Okay. Is there anybody who's not so sure about how to get a transcript out of a YouTube video? If so, just raise your hand. And no, everybody's good with that. Yep. Okay. I will show you one thing because, which is not here, hopefully, right? What's changed is that now the transcript is usually, if you can see the shared screen here under the video. It used to be more kind of in this 3-dot menu over here, but now the transcript is down here. Okay. So getting back to here, we're going to extract that. If you extract text from a PDF, I find that if it's in like 2 columns, it can sometimes break down. Laurence Anthony, who produces a lot of different software, has a thing called Ant File Converter, which I find produces particularly clean text files from PDF. Okay, so we've got our plain text file, which is always the best way to go. Okay. And then there's 2 things that you can do. You can either decide, okay, wait, before I decide what vocab to teach, I should know how much vocab my students even know. I would say the 2 easiest places to go is either, you know, Paul Nation or the people who work with Paul Nation at Victoria University in Wellington in New Zealand, or on the LexTutor site, there are a number of tests there. There is a slight difference. The vocabulary size test, if anything, I would say is a slightly newer approach. Okay, the levels test, if we just look under the LexTutor site, way over here, you can see there are the vocab level tests, and there should be the NGSL test. Vocab size test is here as well. Okay, there might be the NGSL tests here. Where are they? I think, yeah, VLT productive might be this one. Okay. This is a slightly older. Okay. There is a problem with that. I would like to know my students' vocab levels very early on in the semester, but often they've just taken a placement test, and I don't want to have them all feeling all tested out. So to avoid doing that, I might actually just get them to do some writing or speaking and get a transcript of their speaking and use some other form of analysis. Or way over here, I've got some information on analyzing student writing. Okay. If I've got their writing in a text file, well, that's just great. But if it's in a Google form, something like a Google form, or exported from Padlet, which you can do under the share settings here, okay, where it says share, save as CSV, okay, you can get a file with everything that's written neatly sorted out so that you're not seeing all of the comments mixed up with the original post. It's all quite tidily sorted out. Or I can download things from Jenkin. Okay, this is my sandbox area, which I just called for Helen Hanae Hairy Hog High School. So I can get people to, I can just download the writing that I've got here and analyze it. Okay. How am I going to do that? Okay, I've got everything in a CSV sheet, not an Excel sheet if possible. I bullied one of my sons into writing me a PowerShell script, okay, and then fiddled with it so that it's got some information in it and it's a little bit more robust, shall we say. What this does is takes from an Excel file every individual cell of writing and exports it to an individual file with that student's student number or name or whatever you want to use as the name of that file. Okay. Once I've done that, I can use something like simple NLP to analyze that. If I use an NGSL dictionary, I can get information on how or what percentage of their words are at NGSL up to 1,000 words or up to 2,000 words or up to 3,000 words. I find that incredibly useful because I can also, generate personal feedback and mail it back to them either as a PDF or just as an email message. Okay. Now, that's my preferred way of working so that I'm not kind of over testing them early in the semester. Okay. Now we've got a plain text file and there's several things that you can do with it at this point. You can either take it into LexTutor. Okay. I'll just open LexTutor here. I'm guessing that almost everybody has used LexTutor, right? So you can choose here which type of level you want to sort into. Okay. If you have really low level classes, I honestly recommend this BNC COGA C series because you can get a fine-grained breakdown of how difficult the easy vocab is. Okay. I have got guides in here, okay, on how to use that and a screen recording, which I need to edit and put up on YouTube for you. Okay. Now, before we go any further, does anybody have any questions on LexTutor? Because it is one of the best known tools. So any questions on LexTutor? Anything that you would like to be able to do on LexTutor that you haven't been doing much since then? I mean, much with it? No? Okay, let's move on then. Another thing that you can do is use AntConc, which is Laurence Anthony's concordance tool. Yeah, that's also linked in the Padlet. Okay. Now, sorry, somebody's just, I didn't see the messages at first. Sorry. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I think that one of the advantages of actually working with this kind of analysis is that you can really fine tune it. That is why I make Quizlet lists and lists of vocab in Excel and stuff, so that I can give students the meaning of a word or an expression as it appears in their source material, rather than just a generic list of meanings. Now, one thing about AntConc is that the current main official release is 4.2, but just yesterday he announced that the 4.3, which uses a GPT, it's already pretty strongly supported, and he's about to make that the official release. That should be quite a game changer, and that's all I've heard about it. I haven't heard any details yet. Okay. Now, I'm thinking that AntConc might be something that some people haven't used. Okay. Would you like me to open it up and show you, or is it enough for me to just give you the screen recording when it's up on YouTube? Yep. Okay. Does anybody want me to just show you AntConc quickly, or? Yep. Okay. Let's. I feel like I opened it, but where did I put it? Okay. Okay, I'll just get this out of the way. Okay. Okay. So here is AntConc. It was designed to be really yes. The link is also in the Padlet somewhere. Okay. AntConc was designed to be used by students, especially graduate students. The whole idea was that you should be able to just put it on a flash drive and carry it around, and it still is. I mean, I run it out of Dropbox very often. Okay, so the first thing to do is to open some files. Okay, let's say, okay, I'm going to open these two files that I decided to use as a sample before. Okay. This is now my temporary corpus, okay? Oh, sorry. Sorry, I helpfully unshared, right? Okay. Okay, sorry, I'll just open the files. Okay, so AntConc, the first thing you want to do is the target files, right? So open files. I'm just going to open these two files. Okay. Yep. Okay. Now, if I go back here and open Corpus Manager, it'll show me the target corpus. Those are the files that I want to analyze, and it's called a temp, right? I don't really want to save this to use at some other time, but you can see that I actually have saved corpuses of everything that's in 21st century communication, or everything that's in impact listening level 1 or whatever. Okay. So I'm going to move now to the reference corpus. Okay, from Laurence Anthony's site, you can download some of these reference corpuses. In other words, something that you can compare it to. Okay, but I seem to think that these American English and British English ones already come with it. If you really want to stick with one thing, such as only science or only journalism, then you can narrow it down. But I usually use the whole one. Okay, so I've chosen this as my reference corpus. I've got the 2 files that I just opened as my target corpus, return to the main window. Okay, now I might want to know all the words that are in this file. So I'm just going to hit start. Okay. If I use a stop list, I can stop it showing really common words like the and stuff, but I'm not that worried. It's a very short file. Okay. So I can see all of these things. It's showing me which ones have appeared most frequently here. Okay. So it's in order of frequency. I could have it actually ordered in a different way. But it's often, especially in a longer file, more useful to find out which are the most characteristic words of this file. And I think this is, you know, minimum frequency. Let's just pick up the words that are occurring at least twice. Okay. Okay, so words like kumara, pork, apple, broccoli. This is about making dinner in New Zealand. Okay, so you can see immediately the words that are appearing are much more typical of the material. Okay, now dinner. I'm really kind of wondering how that is used in this corpus. So, sorry, I attempt to spell it correctly. They might have put dinners, so I'm just going to put an asterisk here to pick up anything. And they didn't find anything with dinner in it, which is kind of weird. Okay, let's see what else we've got. Okay, so any dinner related words we've got here: dinner for tonight, dinner tonight, you know, things like for dinner we are going to do such and such. Now it's possible that I might want to actually, let's see. I might want to get expressions like make dinner for somebody, with variations in the middle. In that case, let's go for an open slot, which is not okay. An open slot of 1. I don't actually know that it's going to bring up anything because it's such a short file. Yeah, okay. Okay, let's see if that brings anything up. Yeah, okay. So for my family, okay, for dinner, I will do something or other. Okay, so this shows you kind of slightly wider phrases that are using that word. Okay. Okay. Yep. Okay. So in this case, the collocates and the clusters are relatively similar. But okay. Now I'm going to look in the whole file. Where is dinner actually appearing? Okay. Serve the dinner. Eat the dinner. Having for dinner. Okay. I'm going to look in the second file as well. Okay. Okay. I can actually get a plot which will show me, you know, the word dinner is appearing in the middle of the file, in the first text and at the beginning. Okay, so in other words, the second one is the transcript of the main video narration of making dinner. So she uses the big word dinner early on in the piece, and then after that we start to hear individual foodstuffs and so on. Okay, and okay, this shows me which file, and okay, so I had actually 2 files here. It appears once in one file and 3 times in the other file. Okay. Any questions? Just by the way, you can export this. If I just want to export what I can see on screen, I can say save current tab results, right? If I have a raft of results and many more than can appear on screen and I want to save them all, I can just put save current tab database tables. Okay. Any questions about ANCONC? Oh, heck, it's already after. Yep, okay, the time is passing on. No, but you love the colors. You do? Okay, good, right? Okay, colors. Oh, yes, yes, the colors in ANCONC. Yes, you can actually swap them around and do all kinds of things, but I can't say I've felt the need to do that. Okay, let's say goodbye to ANCONC. Okay, so ANCONC is really useful if you are analyzing, you know, some text that you want to use for a specific purpose. Even when I already have a vocab list that the publisher has provided for a textbook, I might want to know where the heck is it actually appearing. It helps me find the appearances very quickly. If I have a bunch of files for each unit up, it helps me decide if I want to teach this item in Unit 2 or Unit 5 or whatever. Okay. Now, moving on to Voyant Tools, which I think is one of my favorite tools these days. Okay. Okay. The link for Voyant Tools is here in the main Padlet. Okay. Where did I put it? Temporarily unavailable. They are just kidding, right? You know? Yeah, that's just what you'd expect, right? Well, I'm afraid I can't show you the wonder that is Voyant Tools just for the moment, but Voyant Tools has about 6 panels, and each panel has up to 3 different tools, and you can, and there are in fact more tools, so that you've got a, you know, a possible range of any number of different tools. Let me see if I can find a screen recording just to show you what it's like. Okay. The good thing about Voyant Tools is that it shows things in such a visual way that you can show it to students, or they can look up their own writing to see. Okay, sorry, so just see if I can find something here that's got a visual background. Voyant Tools, yes, okay. Okay. See, it's impossible to foil us. This is Voyant Tools, okay? So it shows you a word cloud. You can actually change how many items you want showing on the word cloud. The main file is in the middle. There's file information down at the bottom left. You can change that around. If you have like 10 files in your corpus, you can hit documents and it will show you information for each file, but that's not what I'm doing here. Separate phrases, it will give you information on that. But I think the real gem is at top right here, that will show you the keywords as they appear throughout the whole file. You know, this tells us that, you know, we didn't start talking about apples until quite late in the video, whereas the, you know, vegetables pop up all the way through. Okay. When I get students to look at a sample piece of writing, they can see this kind of structure and they can see that the keywords are interwoven. But when they look at their own academic writing, it's often much more of a kind of, you know, separate little sandhills. For they've used one keyword for one paragraph and then they never refer to it again. So it's a very powerful visual reminder of how well they're doing at linking all of their ideas together. Down bottom right, you can see contexts and collocates. So contexts will show, here we're looking at we. So tonight we are having a roast. It'll show you the words that are appearing immediately left and right of we. The collocates will show you the words that are appearing in the same phrase or in the same sentence. Okay. Now, one of the other amazingly useful things about Voyant Tools is, okay, it's a little bit hard to see here, but let's see if I can show you. Yeah. At the top right here, where you can't see it, when you mouse over, you should see, yeah, so these are all the, yes, there it is. Okay, when you mouse over, you can see the little export button. This exports an URL. I mean, not very high tech way. You have to just copy the URL from the top here, and you can give that to your students on Moodle or whatever your LMS is, and then they can open it up, and without having to reanalyze the text, they can see this view anytime they want. So for a reading textbook or a writing textbook, or even, I sometimes use it for a transcript for a longish video, so they can kind of see the structure of the whole video before or after they're listening to it. Okay, so that's the wonder that is Voyant Tools. Does anybody have any questions on Voyant Tools? Because it really is a amazing piece of free kit. No questions, but very interesting. Okay. Okay, so sorry, what was frustrating?
Oh, I thought it was frustrating that you're presenting and you couldn't open the thing.
Yeah, yes, but it's so great that I had a screen recording that I haven't
The
finished.
CA one works, so
The CA one?
yeah, the voyantlinks.ca I think it opens properly now.
This one here.
Yeah, I think that should open. It said some alternatives on the website where it said it was suspended.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, the mirror site, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. It is so visual that the students who barely know the difference between a noun and a verb can still see. Okay, this is the big abstract words that appear in the introduction and the conclusion, and the more detailed words are appearing in the middle, of that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's great.
It's a beautiful thing to behold. Okay. Anyway, now that we've got all this data, what are we going to do with it? We put it into Excel. Okay. I do have a screen recording for putting stuff into Excel, which is it's a very simple, but there are some little frustrations that people often don't realize can be overcome. Okay, so the vocab spreadsheet, I will just quickly show you one of mine, because I may possibly be doing just a touch of overkill. Okay, let's not say that you have to do all of this. Okay, this is my usual Excel spreadsheet for analyzing stuff for a textbook or teaching materials. Okay, so I'll usually have English, Japanese, and I might have another column for comments. Okay, priority, typically this means it's labeled in the textbook as something that you're supposed to be teaching.
Helen, are you trying to share something right now?
I'm sorry, I keep forgetting that when I've stopped.
No worries, no problem.
Okay, so this is my Excel file. I mean, I'm sure everybody has their own way of doing it, but this is how I typically do it. So I have I mark what's supposed to officially required in the textbooks so that I know what to do. And because typically, especially in high frequency vocab, meaning changes mostly through the part of speech, I usually do mark part of speech. Okay. I don't know of any ways of getting this kind of part of speech information absolutely foolproof, especially from a word list. Okay. What I usually use is another Laurence Anthony tool, mainly because it exports really well and I can just bang it in my Excel sheet without too much trouble. Where is it? Okay, Laurence Anthony software. Oh, come on. Which one is it? Tagant, somewhere down here. Yeah, Tagant. So Tagant will add part of speech tags. There are different ways of doing it. You can either output it as, so you've got the word with the pos tag right beside it, or you can just output a vertical list of pos tags. It isn't always totally accurate, so it doesn't hurt to go through. And I often teach the verbs separately, so I'll go through and sort just by the post tags. Okay, because I encourage students to take an NGSL test at the end of semester and give them bonus points, I almost always will sort my Quizlet lists according to NGSL, but I might use the BNC COCA Core 4 or some other list. I usually mark if it's in another unit so that I know which unit I should be teaching it in, and sometimes I want to mark the genre or some other example. Okay. Any questions or comments on what to actually do with vocab data when you've got it?
There's a comment in the chat about what does N1
N1,
and
yep.
N2 mean?
Yeah, that N1 is the NGSL frequency list, first 1,000 words, second 1,000 to 2,000 word level, 2 to 3,000, TOEIC service list, off list, okay, and so on. So that just refers to the NGSL lists. Okay. Okay, so that's about it for that. Okay, and back to the vocab. Where did I put it? Here it is. Okay, back to this. Okay, so we've got all of the stuff into Excel, and from there I start giving people Quizlet lists. One thing it's worth noting, especially for studying for yourself, is using the audio functions on Quizlet. The quickest way I know is to simply record it myself so that I can input a close type sentence and then just record the whole thing. So the students actually have to listen to it to know what the correct word is. Okay. Because I'm hoping that will help them learn the collocations and learn to use the word in context. Okay. Does anybody have anything they want to share about Quizlet? Quite some time ago, we did put up a Padlet on what we know about Quizlet. Okay. So that's also linked in the vocab resources. Nobody has had any amazing revelations about Quizlet just recently?
My introduction to Quizlet was the first year of the shutdown, COVID.
Ah, okay.
And Quizlet was our testing device. And the students had to go through and study the vocabulary and then take the quiz that was on Quizlet. And I had to go through and grade them. And I do not recommend using Quizlet that way. That was horrible.
They've always said that
Yes.
that it isn't a testing thing, and I think we should
agree.
take that. We should take that seriously. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So having got to this point, okay, you've given students either on paper or in Quizlet or however you want some target words, and now you want to see, are they actually using them? Okay, and we've come full circle. Okay. So what we're doing now then is you can ask them to write, you can collect their writing digitally, you can run it through SINLP, and I will actually just show you this because this is a little bit different from the Laurence Anthony things. Kristofer Kyle's apps do, I think, still require, what am I trying to say? Java. Okay, hang on, where is SNLP? It's just disappeared off the face of the earth. Okay. Oh, okay. Well, come on, where are you? Okay, I think I'll just have to look through here. Okay. Just put this here to look at later. And sorry, I just want to open the actual software to show you because I think it might be easiest. Sorry, the chat's in the way. Yes. Okay, So because I like shiny things, I have every Kristofer Kyle app known to man. Okay. Okay. Now I open up. Okay. Which one do I actually want? Okay. I do have a screen recording for this too, actually. And I think that one might actually be. Come on, hurry up. Oh, here it goes. Yep, okay. Okay, so here we've got SNLP. You have to have Java on your computer. You don't have to do anything with it. You don't have to touch it, look at it, or anything. There is a little thing of README instructions. Okay, so select the list dictionary. Okay, I've got a lot of dictionaries. Some of them I've made myself. So, for example, I want to know, are students using NGSL, or I want to use SNLP's default information on word length and sentence length and things like that. Plus, I want to know, are they using certain logic conjunctions? Okay. So, well, let's just go for the plain vanilla. Okay. So where am I going to get the files from? Sorry, it's going to be deep down. Okay. Yep, okay. That one there. Okay, so the output folder, do I even care where it's going? Okay, it can go to maybe I do care. Okay. Sorry, I'm really wanting you guys to have a chance to look at something. So I'm wanting to hurry through this. 2024, okay. Okay. So submit file name. Let's just call this junky junk. Okay. Okay, it's going to give me a file name called junky junk results process. Okay, already done. Okay, let's see if we can find it really fast. Okay. Oh, okay, sorry, here's when you can go away. Okay. Okay, so it's giving me this information about the files. Okay. Now, there are some things like the type, the ratios and stuff, which they are so sensitive to the length of the text that I wouldn't certainly use them for like exam results, because you will get such a different ratio if somebody has written 300 words compared to somebody who only wrote 100 words. But how many letters per word? This tells me that the vocab in the first file, the words are a little bit longer. Okay, it's more sophisticated. However, the first file, which was basically me giving example sentences that were very short, only has an average of 7 words per sentence. That means that nobody's using any conjunctions or other connective language. Okay. The second file is a spoken file. That's average 15 words per sentence. That's still not difficult. I usually ask my early academic writers to aim for 15 to 17 words per sentence on average. Okay. Something that is surprisingly useful is the number of determiners, because this kind of software is typically aimed at native speakers. So if somebody leaves all the and the words out, they're going to automatically get a higher letters per word score. But if you can see that the number of determiners or the ratio of determiners is really low, then you can guess, oh, okay, they didn't actually have such an amazingly good vocab. They just left a lot of determiners out. Okay. And we can see here, it's showing me that, the second text with the longer number of sentences is predictably including more connective language, okay, and you know, more I've forgotten what we call it in English, sorte, speculation. Yeah. Okay, any questions about SynLP? Because I think the thing that you really want to know about SynLP is the fact that it's so customizable. You can use any number of different dictionaries. You can make your own dictionaries. So I want to see whether they use the words in Unit 2. I can just put dictionary Unit 2 if I want. So I'm just going to have a look at the chat. Okay. Yes, use of Java. That could be so. I'm not 100% sure. One thing. Okay, academic words in journals. It depends what you think of as academic, right? I don't think that I would ask students to download Anconc. That's one of the reasons I'd use Voyant Tools. Okay. And surprisingly, if you ask the right questions, you can get a lot of this kind of information from ChatGPT. Okay. Okay, we are getting to the end. What I did want to show you was, okay, this final, okay, if you had files like tasks like this, what kind of tools of the ones that we've talked about today would you use? This can be our wrap-up idea. So for example, you've got a textbook reading and you think that it's mostly going to be okay, but there might be a few difficult things. Which tool would you use? You know, just turn your mic on and tell me, or write it in the chat, or I'm going to turn the share screen back on, I think, so that people can look at some of the tools that we had.
I have very low-level students.
Oh, don't worry. Don't worry.
And I'm not very tech savvy on all these tools. So
Well,
I've never used any of them. So I would want to use something that has a low learning curve so that we could pick up quickly and would require a massive amount of time for me outside of.
Right. Hang on. I was going to share, so I'm getting slowly brain dead. Share has disappeared. Okay. Okay. No, yep. Share seems to have disappeared. I think probably the best place to start would be LexTutor. For one thing, it's been, oh, sorry, I'm sending that to Sarah directly instead of to everybody. Okay. Yeah, I would start with the LexTutor site. Okay. It's been around for a while, so you can go on YouTube and find kind of how to do stuff with LexTutor videos very easily. Secondly, as I said before, in LexTutor, you know, they have a number of vocab profilers. Okay, you've got various options, but for a really low-level class, I would choose the BNC COCA 1 to 25C. In other words, it's got 2,500-word bands of vocab, and I find that really useful for sifting out the absolutely, you know, kind of everybody knows it type of vocab without also throwing out the very high frequency but still not known by our low-level student stuff. So for very low-level students, I'll start looking at like the 4C band and maybe up to 11 or 12C band. So in other words, 400 words up to 1,200 words for very low-level kids. So actually, sorry, I don't seem to be able to share anymore. So not to worry. Okay. Yeah, otherwise I would show you what happened. And that's for receptive language, where I want to know what should I be teaching them, okay? Yeah, no, I'm not seeing it in the more button for some reason. It was there before and not anymore. I don't know. So, you know, one of although AntConc has also been around for so long that there's a lot of info on how to use it, I think you can also get an awful lot out of Voyant Tools. And you can share it with students so easily. So, you know, I can get a keyword list, okay, which I can download, you know, for vocab teaching. I can get the sort of collocates and context, okay. I can show the whole document, okay, and also I can save the URL and give it to students so that they can use it for revision later. Yeah, there are several YouTube channels that you show how to use on AntConc. You do have to make sure you're looking at one of the newer ones, and some of them are not in English either, but it does look like he's going to release a ChatGPT, you know, version, or in other words, a GPT version of AntConc very soon. Okay. Oh yes, yeah. So I think though the one that he put up is actually maybe a couple behind the current version, but his own Laurence Anthony's own ones tend to be quite slow and, you know, easy to follow. Anything else that anybody wants to ask about? Like maybe especially in terms of how to analyze students' own use of vocab? No? Okay, well, we've got 2 minutes for people to
Thank you,
translate.
Helen.
I would say in terms of reading and, you know, long listening and stuff, Voyant Tools has been something that I see students are actually following up and looking at. Okay, well, thank you very much. You know, I'm sorry, because I had to sort of reinvent a whole course during this week, I didn't finish uploading the screen recordings.